I defy you to find a bigger loser from this weekend than that tweet. Seriously. Everything about that is pure eye cancer. From the fact it was tweeted by a soccer player that thinks he's a football analyst, to the fact that someone actually went, ha ha ha, go to Twitter, to the fact he wasn't fucking kidding, to the fact that like 700 people thought that that was actually a fucking proper thing to say. Literally, everything about that sucks. The tweet, those involved, the company that employs those two, everything about it, big ass loser. Let's get into the real ones. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Ken Kraken Sports. Mike here, and yes, one of my favorite weekends of the NFL season has come and gone, the NFL Combine. The Combine is what got me into the draft all those years ago back in 2010, and it has stuck with me for the last 9 years, and God, do I love it every single time. I've learned a lot about draft analysis through the Combine, so one thing I love to do every year is do a big scale review, but we're not gonna do like a big 30-minute preamble or rambling or whatever the hell I used to do in the past. That's too long. I don't have the time. You don't have the time. None of us have the attention span. So let's do a quick winners and losers. And I'm going to go day by day. So let's start with day one and the offensive lineman and the running back. So let's take a look at our first winner. Now, Jawaan Taylor didn't run in the 40, which really didn't matter. He was hampered a bit by a lower body injury, but he still showed out on the on-field drills, and that's one of the reasons he's a big winner. This is a guy, I compared a lot to Tyron Smith going into this, and he really kind of proved me right. A right tackle in college because Florida thought that Martez Ivey was a left tackle. That I think can easily be a bookend franchise left tackle at the next level. He came in a lot slimmer than I thought he would. He ended up being, I think, about 315 pounds, which, given that he was like 350 last year, shows a lot of dedication on his side to get back into football shape, or into football shape, if you want. I think what won me over really was, despite dealing with a lower body and a leg injury, in the rabbit drill against Dalton Reisner, who really pushed him to the limit in terms of movement and change of direction, Taylor stuck with him stride for stride. And in all of the angling drills, Taylor was really far and away the best tackle there. One thing I will say in terms of winners and losers, at this point, my board is starting to get pretty finalized. First round guys were kind of more or less locked in or lower due to bad combines, having to recheck film, what have you. Now, the board is still not technically completed. I'm working on it, but I'll put it to you this way. Jawaan Taylor went into last week sitting at around like 19 or so on my board. Actually, let me check my phone because I haven't updated it yet. Yeah, he was 17th on my board. He now is sitting at number 10. I was really impressed with his movement skills, despite battling a lower body injury, which a lot of guys his size probably would have sat out on. He's in contention to maybe be the first offensive tackle taken off the board. So good job by Jawaan Taylor this weekend. The more I watch of Garrett Bradbury, the more and more I just love this kid. I think when I first took a look at him, I wasn't really paying full attention or something, because I can't explain how I was down on him as like a third round, borderline fourth round prospect. And then I watched him again, and he was up and around like the 50s for me. Then he became my number one center, and he came out this weekend, and he's almost a round one prospect. And I say almost because it's really hard, given the way I evaluate talent, and I do kind of take some positional value into it as well. It's really hard for me to put a center as a first-round grade. If you see interior linemen from me, more often than not, if they're a first rounder, they're a tackle I think could swing inside. And that's even rare. Or they're Quentin Nelson. Like, it's really tough. And that's on me. But I do think that Garrett Bradbury easily made himself a fringe round one guy in the eyes of both myself and the NFL. He's probably going round one. This dude lit the combine on fire. For an offensive center to have some of the best on-field and agility and athletic testing numbers out of the entire offensive line group is insane. He moves extremely well. I think he's really versatile. I think you can move him in at guard if you have a center right away, kind of like a James Daniels did last year, who was another guy that I really liked. I think I like James Daniels a little bit more than I like Garrett Bradbury, but they're kind of in the same ilk of like that first round center that is just going to come in, lock down that position for about a decade to come, and make the general manager that takes them look really smart. Garrett Bradbury, top class. Well, Bradbury and Jawaan Taylor stole the show for good reasons. There was one offensive lineman that stole the show for some pretty bad reasons. So let's get into the offensive line's one loser for the weekend. Call me crazy, but I've just really never seen it with Greg Little. I get the fact that he has massive upside and that he was the number one player in his high school recruiting class, but at some point you do have to get better. And this, I mean, his tape was bad this year. His sophomore tape was better than his junior tape, so why he decided to come out, I will never understand. But not only was his tape bad, we were sold this bill of goods that, like, not only was he high potential, but he was an athletic freak, which was going to put it all together, so that if someone could take his raw potential and the fact he's green as turtle shit, and his fantastic athleticism, and put it together, it would pay off in the long run. And boy, whoever sold that bill of goods was wrong. He wasn't athletic at all. He had a 25-inch vertical jump. The vertex that they use for the vertical jump is 24 inches. He barely hit the bottom of the bar. He ran a 5.3 340. He really did not show any form of agility in anything he did, or any form of real potential of footwork that could be, molded and turned into something good. And I was really banking on this combine to kind of be like, okay, I'll keep him in round 2 for now. He was going into it at like 51 on my board. So like mid-second round, I would feel comfortable like that. Kind of put him in like LaRaven Clark territory, who was another guy that, like, athletic freak, needed to be taught the position really, never received coaching in college, but if you honed in, there could be something there. And it didn't work out with LaRaven Clark either. But after all this, when you have an athletic freak that's not an athlete, he fell from 51, and I'm now checking the board. He's at 75. He is a mid-third round pick, and that's about as high as I can see myself getting on him. He is locked in to, pretty late in day 3. We're not looking at someone that's going to be starting anytime soon. He's going to be a swing tackle, a backup. He needs to actually learn what the fuck he's doing. This was a really bad weekend for a really meh player. Connor Rogers and Matt Miller have said it a lot. It's really hard to be the guy after the guy. And that's exactly what Miles Sanders was at Penn State. A lot of people going, oh, well, he's just the guy that replaced Saquon Barkley. But that kind of dismisses what Miles Sanders did this year. He was really all around solid, and his combine showed that he's maybe a little bit higher upside than I would have thought. Really, really agile, great athleticism, and he actually showed out a lot in terms of the catching drills as well. I thought that he solidified himself as a top 5 back, something I didn't think he was going into the combine, but he really showed a lot of versatility, and that's going to go a long way in potentially a pretty fucking pathetic running back class. He's going to be up there maybe with David Montgomery. I don't think he's catching Josh Jacobs, but he's getting into day 2, maybe second round territory. If I can borrow a Mike Mayockism, here's a guy that coming into this weekend, I had no idea who he was. I had never heard of Raquel Armstead. I don't even know if I'm saying his name right. That's how little I had heard of him. I had heard no buzz, didn't know he was in this class, nothing. And then he comes in at 5'10", 5'11-ish, 220 pounds, runs a 4.45, shows out on field, and I had to watch the tape. I had to. It would be negligible if I didn't. I watched it that night. He made that much of an impression on me. And I liked what I saw. He now comes in at 98 on my board. That's almost a day 2 grade. I think he's probably going to be realistically selected in round 5, round 6, but whoever gets him might in fact get a starter and a leading rusher out of it. The position's devalued, but you're going to be able to get a guy like him late, and he's going to pay off big time for you. Honorable mention goes to Alex Barnes, the Kansas State running back. The only reason he's not on here, I still haven't watched his tape. I'm getting around to it. But the dude came in 34 reps at 225 on the bench, and actually had a pretty good field workout as well. Again, he just hasn't actually. I haven't evaluated him yet, so I can't say anything for sure. This one really hurts. Benny Snell's been my guy since July. He was the number one running back I had in the class all the way up until Josh Jacobs actually declared. Then he fell to number 2. And that's what he was going into the combine. And he ain't that anymore, guys. Man, the combine really, really hurt him. I tried not to get too invested in the combine, but seriously, the combine was big for Benny Snell. If he could have come out and run 4.5, 4.55, he would have easily been in that, can be compared to Melvin Gordon, Jay Ajayi, which is the comp I had going on him going into the fucking weekend. And man, he just isn't those guys. He's kind of Alex Collins, David Cobb. I mean, I like those two guys, and I was higher on them than really anyone else was when they were coming out, but oh man, he just really hurt himself. And I'll say it to you this way. When I said Ajayi, Melvin Gordon, like, neither of those guys were asked to participate much in the passing game in college too. So I kept thinking that if he could just kind of run similar to them and show that he can catch, then yeah, like, the comp made sense. And he showed he could catch, but in terms of athleticism, it just wasn't there. Ajayi ran 4.57. Melvin Gordon ran 4.52. Benny Snell ran 4.66. Like, he barely got under 4.7. There's a threshold, and he really just did not meet that threshold. It was just an all-around bad week. I don't feel comfortable with him in round 2 anymore, which is a shame because for a lot of the season I had him in round 1. He dropped from 27 all the way down to 72 on my board. Again, still think he's one of the better backs. He's also just not a top 5 back anymore. He really needed to have some form of athleticism, and he was like bottom quarter all time in pretty much every athletic test there was. Good tape, substandard athlete. All I gotta say is 4.78. 4.78. That's pretty fucking ugly, man. Like, fucking defensive linemen were running faster than that. That's pretty bad. Now, I know that if you watched Holyfield on tape, you didn't think that he was going to be a burner. But there's a threshold, man. If I'm talking about Benny Snell not being fast enough at 4.66 and looking kind of sluggish, Elijah Holyfield made Benny Snell look like Usain fucking Bolt. I don't know, man. This was the guy that I had in, like, round 3 coming in, and again, we're talking another big fall here, guys, because he checks in now at 105. Like, that's, again, day 3 guy. Day 3 guy. Could have solidified himself as, like, top 65, top 75 player. Now he's round 4. I mean, again, good tape. Really, really bad athlete. In terms of quarterbacks, no one really helped or hurt themselves too much. Basically, the only news to come out of the quarterbacks is that I've switched Drew Lock and Daniel Jones. So Lock is now QB4. Daniel Jones is now QB5. You could say a winner was Drew Lock because he went from round 3 in my books to round 2, but that was really about it. Another Georgia Bulldog that just really showed he's not athletic. And Isaac Nada was historically bad. 4.940. There has never been a successful tight end that ran in the 4.9s. He really needed to be up in that like 4.7, 4.8 range to be taken even remotely seriously. And he ain't that anymore. I, again, had him in round 3. But when you run 4.9, especially when you say that you compare your game to Jordan Reed, who is a far better athlete than 4.9, I just can't. He's a round 5 guy. He's going to maybe get drafted later than that. The tape's pretty good in the limited amount that he was there, but something's in the water at Georgia, and I don't know what it is, but these guys ran slow as molasses. I'm putting these two for one big reason, because coming into the weekend, everyone had questions about their speed because they're the same type of guy. Big bodied guys where, there were questions about their separation, but they both showed out. Hakeem Butler came in 6'6", over 220 pounds, and ran a 4.48. N'Keal Harry came in and ran a 4.53. That's pretty good for two guys that everyone thought was going to run 4.7. Now, added in the fact that N'Keal Harry has great breakaway speed once he catches the ball, may not win on separation in terms of speed, but is a precise route runner and has good hands. And Hakeem Butler, who is a more jump ball target with some iffy hands at times, but can make the highlight reel catch as well. And also the fact he's 6'6". That's a good combine for both of these guys. All around, these guys sealed themselves as top 50 picks. N'Keal Harry is still my wide receiver number 1. Oh yeah, I went there. I absolutely fucking went there. I'm not doing it because I want to be different, I want to stand out. I do it because I had 2 set of functioning eyes. What did I learn from DK Metcalf this weekend, eh? A fast guy that everyone knew was fast ran fast. Okay. I will admit, running a 4.33 at 6'4", 228 is very impressive. And then the on-field workout started, and DK Metcalf showed that for all of the big muscles he's got nothing below his legs. He's skipped leg day since probably high school. The dude's got twigs for legs. Big upper body, can't move. Any non-9 route that was shown of his in the on-field drills was ugly. It was terrible. He has no lateral movements. None. Funny enough, coming into the week, DK Metcalf said teams told him, you really have to improve on your route running. He went, yeah, I know. I really have to improve on my route running. Oh, he needs to improve on his route running. Like, he needs to learn how to run routes at all. Because unless he's going straight down the field on a 9 route, which we already knew he did most of the time at Ole Miss, I didn't need to see him run a 9 route. I saw enough of that on film in the 5 games he actually played, or 7 games or whatever. Yeah, also, coming off of a neck injury, when he's also got a foot injury, and he's a big muscular dude, hurt guys stay hurt. And I watched him struggle through out routes, in routes, curl routes. He can't start and stop, can't stagger his feet, and his change of direction skills are laughable. Absolutely laughable. Pair that with some of the worst fucking agility drills the Combine's ever seen for a wide receiver. Ones that are in like the 2nd and 3rd percentile. Now, you would think that would sound good. No. It's the opposite. That means that literally you could probably find someone off the street that could do an agility drill better than DK Metcalf. Am I saying he's a bust? No. I don't know yet. I've never really seen the round 1 hype on him. I've always seen him as a round 2. But this just kind of proved it. And the reason that this is a big loser for me and why this gets me so angry is the moment he ran his 4.33, everyone took to Twitter and said the dumbest shit. Like the tweet I showed you at the very beginning. You knew I was going to come back to that. About he's an improvement over Julio Jones. Julio Jones did his on a broken foot. He actively had a broken foot and did his combine. And is one of the better receivers in the league. Like a top 3 wide receiver in the game. Shut the fuck up. If you say that, take up knitting, because you don't know shit. Or that he's Calvin Johnson. Again, give up watching football if you think that. And if you're one of those people and you're watching this video, I am giving you permission to click off, because I don't want you on my channel. I just don't get it. There's a lot of work that needs to be done with DK Metcalf. Like maybe teaching him how to play football. He looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane. He's got massive injury concerns. We could be looking at a Julio Jones. We could be looking at a David Boston too. Let's not overrate the 40 for one guy to fit a narrative. And that's what gets me the most upset, is that draft Twitter goes on and on and on about how the combine doesn't matter. You shouldn't overrate a 40. Yet what did they do the moment DK Metcalf ran his 40? Oh, he's the best player in the class. He's the best player in the class. Arizona should be looking at him at number 1. Stop. Just stop. I'm going to do another video on DK Metcalf as a whole next week, so I'll save the rest till then, but I can't. Sorry, one last thing. 1.6% body fat is not fucking possible. You need 5% in order to have functioning organs. Alright? I have medical professionals living in my house. You don't think I would have checked that? I know it's bullshit. The fact the media picked up on this shit is amazing, considering it takes, I don't know, like 3-4 seconds to Google that to find out it's bullshit. Narrative being run by the player and his agent, executed to a fucking T. Grouping these guys together again just because of very similar circumstances. Montez Sweat needed to really back up the hype he was getting out of the Senior Bowl when he was the best player there, and he did more or less the same at the Combine. Really, really strong showing. He ended up with a 4.41 40, which is insane at 250 pounds. And just all around did very well. Had a very good on-field as well as the athletic testing. As for Brian Burns, the big question around him was his size. Did he probably play last year at 225, 230? Yes. He showed up at 249 and had an amazing combine. So you know what? I think the hype around Brian Burns is warranted. I think he's definitely in around that top 10 range. So both had amazing combines. I still prefer Burns over Sweat, but again, top-notch job by both guys. What a weird weekend for Jachai Polite. Like, just all around weird. I had heard rumblings from Matt Miller on Stick to Football that teams were a little worried about the maturity of Jachai Polite. They were just, like, no off-field issues, but just he was kind of an odd dude. And, like, just the weirdest combine interview I've ever heard of. He, said that teams were openly bashing his play style just because they were critiquing things that he did wrong. And just, why did you do this? Why did you do this? Asking him to explain, hey, talk us through the thought process. And he took it as, really, really negative, and then kind of, came full circle and tried to play it off. He needs to take a public speaking course or something, because, I just didn't get it. And then on field, he shows up, and he looks probably like he gained 20 pounds of really bad weight. He just was put together very sloppily. He had a gut. And that's not good for an edge rusher to have, a pretty noticeable gut. He didn't run well in the 40. He pulled out, and Matt Miller tweeted out the other day that he had received some texts from some scouts and some general managers that thought it was he just, he didn't do well, pulled out, and they think he faked an injury. So, I think the round one talk on him is gone. He was borderline round one for me to begin with. He's mid-second round now. If I look at the board right now, he's coming in at... Where is he? Jachai Polite is coming in at 37. So yeah, that's a pretty steep drop for Jachai. For a guy that was already dealing with the fact that he was kind of short, and then he comes in and he's not kind of put together the way Melvin Ingram was, who was a comp a lot of people had on him, and he looks kind of sloppy. It was not a good look for Jachai, and I'm hopefully his pro day makes up for whatever the fuck type of clusterfuck this was. Raise your hand if you'd heard of Blake Cashman before this weekend. Yeah, neither had I. I saw his name listed. I figured kind of slow, unathletic white guy from Minnesota that racks up tackles. I got part of that right. He racks up tackles, but this dude's actually a genetic freak. He came out, ran a 4.5, and I had to. Yesterday when putting together starting the big board process again, I had to watch his tape. I love this kid. And you know what? He's starting to pick up a lot of steam. Jonah Tulls of The Athletic, I believe Jonah's working for The Athletic right now. I could be wrong on that. Has him as a first-round grade. Dane Brugler of The Athletic has him as his 8th or 9th ranked linebacker. And I tend to agree. This dude's a day 2 player. He's top 100. He's round 3. He could go high, and he's going to be really good for a long time to come. He takes on blocks well. He's good in pass coverage. Like, this dude's the real deal. And I had never heard of him. I hope this guy picks up some steam. He seems like he's a really good player. This was a really underwhelming Monday for the defensive back group. In particular, the entire cornerback class. Greedy Williams comes in. He's 6'1 and a half. Comes in surprisingly light at 185 pounds, considering I thought he was going to be closer to 200. He was also listed at 6'2", 6'3 at LSU, so there you have it. Comes in lighter than Byron Murphy. And Greedy Williams runs fast, but then his on-field, he looks stiff as a board. Byron Murphy puts on weight to get to 190 and runs slow. A little bit better on the on-field, but I needed someone of his size to actually kind of move. I was really hoping for kind of a 4.4, and he ran 4.5. If he could have gotten into the 4.3s, that would have been great, and the Denzel Ward comparisons would have made a lot more sense. Trayvon Mullen looked tight. Juwan Williams, I was hoping for a big weekend from him. That didn't happen. Julian Love did okay, but, again, just across the board, DeAndre Baker ran slow. This was just not a good Monday for this cornerback class. I still think that there are 4 first-rounders in the corners, but, I understand why people think, the first corner may come off the board at 20. There you have it, guys. I did not anticipate going that long, and yet you guys have made it through. So congratulations. Pat yourself on the back. Leave down below who I may have missed out on. Do you agree with my DK Metcalf take? I'm dying to hear. I actually am. I'm very interested in this because I'd like to actually have an intelligent conversation about DK Metcalf, and I'm not going to get that on Twitter. But are there any guys that, stood out to you? Any guys that maybe I missed as a winner, or guys that hey, this guy sucked and you didn't even mention him? Let me know down below. There's going to be a big board video coming. I'm going to do 150 players this time. And also coming soon is a 2-round mock draft. Yes, I'm finally breaking the 1-round mold. Until next time, guys, tell a friend to tell another friend. I will see you again soon, guys. Have a good day.